Don't miss the tea. Subscribe now.
Girl, sit down. Seriously, lock the door and put your phone on silent because what I'm about to tell you, honestly, I don't even know how I've kept this inside for so long. You know me. You see me laughing in class, you see me posting memes, acting like everything is totally chill. But you have no idea, literally zero idea, what goes on behind the closed doors of my house. It's not just family drama, okay? It's a horror movie. It's straight-up trauma, and I feel like if I don't spill this tea to you right now, I'm going to explode. I'm 18 now, right? Legally an adult. And looking back at how I grew up, it's a miracle I'm even functioning. I grew up in a joint family. You know how that goes usually, everyone in everyone's business, but this was on a whole other level. It was a prison, and my mother was the prisoner. Let's go back to the beginning. The arranged marriage scam. That's what I call it. My dad's family. They are the biggest liars on the planet. They presented my father as this catch, this decent guy with good habits. My mom's family bought it hook, line, and sinker. But girl, it was all a lie. The ink on the marriage certificate wasn't even dry before the mask came off. I'm talking days after the wedding. Days. Most people are on their honeymoon phase, right, my dad? He started coming home wasted, drunk out of his mind, and that's when the beatings started. He didn't just slap her, he treated her like a punching bag. He would pull her hair, literally dragging her by her hair, kicking her, punching her. He would slam her head into the concrete walls. Concrete, girl, can you imagine? And remember, my mom was so much younger than him. She was just a girl herself, basically. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, nobody stopped it. We lived in a house full of people, adults. His parents, his brother, my uncle, they were all there. They heard the screaming, they heard the thuds, and they did nothing. When my mom finally got the courage to tell her own parents, her own flesh and blood, you know what they said? This makes my blood boil just thinking about it. They said, "What will society say? Your father has a reputation." Reputation. Can you believe that? They cared more about what the neighbors whispered than the fact that their daughter was getting her skull smashed against a wall. Divorce wasn't an option. Her safety. Not even on the priority list. She was just stuck. And then, oh my God, this part makes me want to scream. When she was pregnant with me, literally carrying me inside her, he came home drunk one night and kicked her. Hard, right in the stomach. She had to be rushed to the hospital. He actually suggested she abort me. He told her to get rid of me. Thank God she refused, or I wouldn't be sitting here spilling this to you right now. But that's the kind of monster we're dealing with. He wanted me dead before I even took my first breath. And when I was finally born, he wasn't even there, couldn't be bothered. Growing up watching this, it messes with your head, girl, it really does. I have these vivid memories. I must have been tiny, like a toddler, standing there crying, watching him beat her. I remember feeling this desperate need to protect her. I actually picked up a stick once. Can you picture that? A little baby me holding a stick, trying to fight off a grown man. And you know who stopped me? Not him. My grandparents. They stopped me from helping her. They acted like I was the problem for interrupting the violence. I watched my mom become a professional liar. The neighbors would see the bruises, black eyes, swollen cheeks, and they'd ask what happened. And I'd have to stand there and watch her smile this painful, fake smile and say, "Oh, I fell. I'm just clumsy." She lied to protect the very people destroying her. I used to hear her crying at night. Silent crying, you know. The kind where you choke back the sobs so nobody hears you, shaking in the dark. It broke me every single night. And the family, the elders, they treated the violence like it was just routine, like it was tea time or something. "Oh, he's beating her again, must be Tuesday." Sometimes they even blamed her. My grandmother would say she must have triggered him. Like, "Oh, you shouldn't have breathed too loud, that's why he broke your nose." It's gaslighting on an Olympic level. But the one who haunts me the most is my uncle. My dad's brother. I remember times when my dad was beating my mom and my uncle, he would laugh. He would actually sit there and laugh like he was watching a comedy special. Who does that? What kind of sick, twisted soul finds joy in seeing a woman get beaten? And my grandmother, of course, always protected her sons. Her precious boys could do no wrong. If my dad was the monster, she was the one guarding his cave. Fast forward to now, I'm 18. And you're probably thinking, oh, it must be better now. Girl, no, it hasn't stopped, it's just shifted. The bruises aren't physical anymore, they're emotional. The violence changed shape. Now my mom is basically the house slave. I'm not exaggerating. She does everything. Cooking, cleaning, scrubbing, she works from the second she wakes up until she passes out at night. And they treat her like a maid. Actually, they treat maids better than this. She's treated like she's less than human. My aunt, my uncle's wife, is a piece of work. She's constantly nagging my mom, using money as a weapon. She'll say things like, "My mother is the one paying for everything here, you people don't contribute anything." Can you imagine saying that to family? They constantly remind my mom of her place. They act so morally superior, walking around with their noses in the air, acting like because my mom is financially dependent, she doesn't deserve basic respect. It's humiliating. They want her to feel small. They want her to feel worthless. My grandmother, she's the queen bee of this toxic hive. She takes credit for everything my mom does. If guests come over and rave about the food or how clean the house is, my grandmother sits there smiling like, "Yes, thank you," while my mom is in the kitchen sweating over the stove. But in private, she criticizes everything. She mocks my mom. She never, ever takes my mom's side. She spends her whole day resting, lying around, while my mom works her fingers to the bone, and yet somehow my mom is painted as the ungrateful one. It's insane. The mental gymnastics these people do is exhausting. There were times in the past when my dad, in a drunken rage, threatened to kill me, his own daughter, and we had nowhere to go. We had no money. My mom's family was far away and useless anyway. Leaving felt like jumping off a cliff without a parachute. We were trapped. We had a brief moment of peace once. My dad got a job in another state, and for a little while the air felt lighter. But then he came back, and the nightmare restarted. Okay, so here's the current tea, and this is the part that messes with my head the most. Last year, my dad quit drinking. Now he walks around acting like family man of the year. He's calm. He talks normally. And everyone acts like the last 18 years didn't happen. I have to be polite to him. I have to say good morning, pass the salt, make small talk. I do it to survive, to keep the peace. But let me tell you something, that is not forgiveness. I look at him and I see the monster who kicked my pregnant mother. I see the man who slammed her head into walls. I don't care if he's sober now. You can't erase that. But my mom, she's still scared. She's terrified to speak up about the injustice she faced, or the crap she's dealing with now from my aunt and grandmother. She thinks silence is safer than honesty. She thinks if she stays quiet, maybe they'll let her survive. It breaks my heart because she's been beaten down so much that she doesn't even know how to fight for her own dignity anymore. That's why I wanted to tell you this. That's why I even went on Reddit and posted about it. I had to get some help with my English because I was shaking so bad while typing it. But the feelings were all mine. I needed to get it out. I know there are other people out there, maybe even people we know at school, who are living in houses like this. People who think this is normal because it's culture or whatever. It is not normal. I want to grab people by the shoulders and scream, "You are not weak for staying, you are surviving." If you grew up watching this stuff like I did, you start to think maybe it's your fault. Maybe if I was a better kid, Dad wouldn't be mad. But it's not true. None of it was my fault. None of it was her fault. And I look at my mom being told to adjust for society, to adjust for money. It makes me so angry. Women deserve safety. They deserve dignity. We shouldn't have to sell our souls just to have a roof over our heads. Sometimes I feel so numb, girl, or I feel this rebellious fire or just pure exhaustion. I read somewhere that my nervous system learned to be this way to keep me alive. Like I'm wired for trauma. It sucks. But saying it out loud to you, it helps. It makes me feel like I'm not crazy. So yeah, that's the tea. That's my life. My dad is a reformed abuser. My mom is a glorified servant. My relatives are psychological tormentors. And I'm just here, trying to get through the day without losing my mind. But at least now you know. I'm not alone in this anymore because you know. And honestly, just knowing that someone else sees the truth, it's the only thing keeping me going right now.